Welcome back to another episode of the Fort Johnson podcast, where we bring you the latest stories and insights from our dedicated service members and their incredible work. I'm your host, and today we have an exceptional guest joining us. This week, we're honored to have Second Lieutenant Isella Wallace from the Medical Service Corps. She is the MSC Chief of the Bain Jones Army Community Hospital's Patient Administration Division. Second Lieutenant Wallace is pivotal in ensuring our patients receive top-notch care and that our medical operations run smoothly. We'll be diving into what it means to be an MSC officer, exploring the responsibilities, challenges, and rewards of this vital position. From patient administration to leadership roles, Lieutenant Wallace will share her experiences and insights into the world of medical service in the Army. So stay tuned and let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening or watching this podcast. I'm Jeff England from the Fort Johnson Public Affairs Office, and we're in the Fort Johnson Public Affairs podcast studio. And today we've got a special guest with us, Second Lieutenant Isella Wallace. She is an MSC officer and chief. She's the Chief Administration Services. Am I getting close?
Patient administration.
Patient administration. So, how long have you been at Fort Johnson?
So I got to Fort Johnson November of 2023. So.
Oh, not too long.
Not too long. No.
Not too long. So, how did you get your commission?
So I commissioned from Oregon State University in June of 2023, and then.
Oh, you're quick.
Yeah. And then I went to Fort Knox. I was there for a little bit, for a few months, for the cadet summer training. I was cadre, and then I went to Fort Sam for Bullock and all of our courses, and then I came here.
Did you go through ROTC?
Yes.
Is that how you got your commission?
Yeah, I did a 4-year ROTC.
Nice. Was that hard to get into or anything like that?
No, I didn't do. So when I joined, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. So I didn't have like a 4-year national scholarship or anything like that a lot of people will try and get when they're in high school, because I didn't do like JROTC, the junior ROTC program in high school or anything. And then, yeah.
Well, would you recommend the ROTC program?
I would recommend the ROTC program in college. I think it's a good development skill, especially if you want to get into the Army. It's a good way. I always recommend when enlisted soldiers want to switch over to the officer side, doing green to gold and going the ROTC route for that.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an officer. I guess they didn't trust me.
Yeah, it's not.
So what did you get your degree in?
I got to my degree in biohealth sciences.
Ooh, so it kind of helps with your career.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I know a little bit about stuff.
So tell me a little about your officers have what category? No categories. They don't have MOSs. They have we have MOSs and AOCs. AOCs.
Yeah.
Okay, so so your career field is huge. I mean, it covers a lot of things. It's not just patient administration,
right,
but it's also what are some of the things, and are you going to have to go through all of those positions?
Yeah, so I'll start very broad. So I'm a 70 Bravo, which is a healthcare administrator or helper assistant.
Yeah, pretty broad.
Right, very broad. And we all...
That's what the Bravo stands for.
Yeah, it's a broad. Yeah, exactly. And we all have to start off as 70 Bravos once we commission into the Medical Service Corps. The Medical Service Corps is a part of the AMED, which is even more various and more broad in terms of what you can do. That's where, all of our physicians and all of our administrators and...
Now, AMED is administration medical?
It's like Army Medical Department.
Army Medical.
Yeah, so it has, I don't want to get this wrong, I want to say about 6
It's okay. It's okay. We all, you're brand new.
Yeah.
We'll let it slide.
But so AMED incorporates the Medical Service Corps, which is what I'm a part of, and then the Medical Corps, the Specialty Corps, Veterinary Corps. So it's very broad. And so when I go to our Bullock or our Basic Officer Leader course, when we go to that, we do it with all of the I went with all physicians, I went with all vets, I went with all psychologists, different administrators per se. And so, yeah, so it's very broad. Then getting into the Medical Service Corps, so I'm a 70 Bravo, again, very broad. I always have to start. Once I would get to my 5th through 8th year, I would have to designate, so when we're captain, we designate to a specialty, an administrative specialty. So like 70 Alpha, or you can kind of stay on the administrative route. You could do 70 Charlie, which is a comptroller. They do with a lot of money.
I always have to remember comptrollers and money. Those
exactly.
are the important people.
Yeah, so there's a lot. We don't have to do all of them. So I'm filling into a 70 Echo position, which is a patient administration position. Typically, a 70 Bravo, new, fresh out of commissioned 70 Bravo would not fill in for a 70 Echo position. But
they see a lot of potential in you. That's why they're putting you in there. So what I'm getting is you have to go through the whole alphabet just to get your career feel proper.
Exactly. You can start at B and then kind of work your way. You can try out. The cool thing is you can go to a bunch of different schools. So that way you can find out what you want to do. Like I went to a 70 Echo course so I would know how to do my job.
and that's patient administration.
Yes, correct. And then, but they also have like 70 Hotel if someone would be interested in operations, which is a shorter course. And they're short, like few week courses. So that way when you designate and choose what you want to do for the rest of your career, it's not a random pull.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So out of everything that you've looked at and seen, what are you looking forward to most? Because it's easy to say, what's the best job you've been in so far, which is the only job you've been in. But what are you looking forward to?
So it's funny because I'm not going to designate into one of those specialties because I'm going to flight school in January.
Lucky.
So I will be staying in my area of concentration. Like I'll be staying in they call it a 70 series, which is all the different specialties I was just talking about. And so I'll switch from being a 70 Bravo to once I complete and finish flight school to a 67 Juliet. So I'll stay in the same realm, but I'll just have a different.
And you'll be a Juliet.
Yes, exactly.
In a helicopter.
Yes.
So when you go to the flight school, are you going to be a flight medic, or are you looking at being an actual pilot, or how does that work?
Yes, so I'll be the actual pilot.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, so that's another thing. It's still in the Medical Service Corps, so it's very diverse.
Yeah, we had Cajun Dust Off in here not too long ago, and they enjoy their job a lot.
Yeah, when I was thinking about getting into it and thinking of that as a career path versus more in the hospital setting, administrative setting, I was like, well, it seems a little more fast-paced. They got, stuff to do a lot of the time.
You go fly right in there and save all the people's...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So take us through a typical day for administration, because a lot of people think that administration is just a bunch of paperwork and it's just telling people that they're fired. No, that's human resources.
Yeah.
But take us through a typical day of what you do normally.
Yeah. Well, definitely being health administration as a service member is definitely different than on like the civilian side. Even just being here at Fort Johnson would be different than being, at some other hospital that's not a military treatment facility. So my typical day, I didn't really know much about administrative stuff or specifically patient administration before I got my job here as patient administration. And so it's definitely different than what I thought it would be. I mean, I generally each day I'll have a meeting or two that I have to attend, work on a committee for the hospital. And then mainly it's more managing our staff and making sure, we have a cohesive team so that we're able to support the community of Fort Johnson and all of the JRTC rotational soldiers we deal a lot with. So
you make sure that everyone's not on the same leave.
Yeah, exactly. That is a part of it. Yeah.
So let me ask the obvious question that everyone that has to work in an office actually knows the answer to.
Oh God.
Because it's all different for each one. So there are no wrong answers.
Okay.
How many Excel sheets have you created?
Honestly, not too many.
You will. You will. So learn that. You're going to get to know it.
I'm getting versed with Word.
Oh, yeah. Word, PowerPoint, Excel. There's a couple other ones.
Yeah. Definitely had to learn
Office.
the SharePoint.
Yes, definitely. So over at BJAC, you get to work with all kinds of people over there. I'm sure you come in contact with other people that have gone the same route as you. Compared to others, how would you rate your experience getting to where you are right now compared to others? It's like, first of all, you should be proud of what you've accomplished already, and is there any other paths that you might have looked into
Before I was commissioned?
Yeah.
I mean, growing up and everything, I was fully interested in, I wanted to go to med school. I wanted to be a physician. At one time, I wanted to be like a pediatric surgeon. I was really on that for a long time, or a pediatrician, one of the two. But then, life happens, and it's like, well, I don't know if I want to go to school for that long.
What is it? That's like over 10 years, isn't it?
I think it's actual school. It's an additional 4.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure.
So
But
there's
then residency and all
and
that.
At least 2 years of residency.
Right.
So yeah, about 10.
So it adds
10
up.
plus, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a flight school, which is 1.5 years. It's not as long, but
Yeah, but it's a lot funner.
yeah, it's a lot different too. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, talking to different people, especially those that are at BJAC and different, administrators and physicians and people who work in the OR and all that, it's interesting to hear, how they ended up there when they joined into the military and specifically into the Army. Like, at what point in their life did they do that? Because at Bullock, a lot of officers, the typical route is ROTC, and then you commission, and, you're 4 years, and you're a brand new second lieutenant at 22, 23 years old. And then most of the enlisted personnel, enlist right when they're 18, right out of high school, which is the general route. But a lot of people, a lot of the doctors that other branches of the Army, like infantry and artillery and armor, they don't see is that those who are coming in when they're 50 or 45, and they're coming in already having that degree and that PhD and all of that experience that they have on the civilian sector that they can bring into the
and
facilities.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when a doctor commissions, they don't commission as a second lieutenant.
Yeah, we had a few that came in. He came in as a major, and he had no prior experience with military or anything, but he was a doctor for so long, then he's just decided.
Talk about trial by fire.
Yes, it is definitely. You can tell who are the newbies per se versus, we are too, but at least we have a little bit of background.
Yeah, I would say as a second lieutenant, the best advice that I've ever heard anyone give a second lieutenant is listen to your senior NCOs.
Yes, I have heard that countless times. Our senior year of college in ROTC, part of our class that we have, like a majority of it is like, how to work with your NCO, how to work with your platoon sergeant, how can they help develop you as a leader since they have so much experience. So.
Yeah, it's like working at a place for 20 plus years and then having somebody come in right out of college. I was like, okay, this is your new boss. Yeah. Not only are they your new boss, but you have to train them and make sure.
And that's exactly how I'm sure all of my staff, like our patient administrative staff, have felt, because I came in not knowing what patient administration was, like never had heard of it as a career option or anything.
Oh, you must have been excited.
And I was like, what's this? Like, I know it's a 70 Echo. So I got there and I'm like, I don't know what anything is. But they've been doing it for, 20 plus years, some of them, and have been here at Fort Johnson for that long too. So.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
So where were you, did you put in did you fill out like a dream sheet on where you wanted to go? Right out, where were you? Leavenworth? You were at Leavenworth, and then?
I was at Oregon State.
And then you commissioned and.
Yeah, and I went to Fort Knox for.
Oh, Fort Knox,
yes,
that's it, Fort Knox.
Just for 2 months.
I hear there's no gold at Fort Knox anymore.
I also heard that. I don't know. They still have the building.
Oh, that's good enough.
Never tried to go in there.
I hear it's a little hard to get in there.
Yes, I think it is.
So after Fort Knox, did you fill out a dream sheet saying where you wanted to go, and I'm sure this was like right at the top of your list, right?
So our senior year, we put in, all of we rank every single branch of the Army, what we want, in order of 1 to 16. I think there's 16 branches. And then once we get that in November, December timeframe, then we can put in this is where we want to go. I will say Fort Johnson was not my first, but it wasn't my last, so I really can't complain too much.
Well, everyone can complain.
Yeah.
It just takes practice.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it.
Yeah, coming here, everyone, they were like, oh, where are you going? I'm going to Fort Johnson. Where is that? What is that? And I'm like, oh, it's the old Fort Polk, and they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, well, good luck. And I'm like, okay, great. Thanks. I don't know what that means.
I can tell you right now from experience that the best assignment you've ever had is the one you just left.
Yeah.
So once you leave here, it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me in Korea. When I went to Korea, it's like, oh, this place, I hate this place, blah, blah, blah. I left that place like, oh man, that place was awesome. So you might want to look into going to Korea too.
Yeah, that's actually what, after flight school, that's what one of our soldiers at BJAC, he was saying. He used to be a flight medic, and he was like, go to Korea, because one, you'll get a bunch of flight hours, and it's only a year assignment, so it's a good deal.
Oh, it's great, and the food is excellent, and the people are friendly, and it's I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I'd go back. And actually, believe it or not, the Korean language, once you learn how to pronounce all the letters, it's really easy to read.
Oh.
Now, understand and speak it, that's a little different.
Right.
But reading it, you could read it, so that's a little easier.
Probably easier than English.
I don't
most languages.
There's fewer letters, and and everything's spelled phonetically. Yeah. So if it has that letter, that's the way it's pronounced.
Instead of like your, and
yeah, your.
Yeah.
It's there.
Exactly.
So, your job, or out of all of the letters that's going to follow your series, which one are you most anxious to get into?
I don't know about anxious. So, because we don't have to do them all. Yeah. So we really end up only doing one, but before the 5th year, you can kind of do normally. How I was saying, a second lieutenant wouldn't be a patient administration, let alone chief of patient administration, at their first duty station.
Overachiever.
Yeah, exactly. But they would be like a platoon leader for some medical company or not company, but platoon or whatever, and get that PL time like most second lieutenants tend to do and have to get at some point.
And you looked at it and just said, I'm better than that. I'll just step into the bigger roles.
Oh, I wasn't offered it. No. Yeah. But anxious, I don't know. Operations.
You got that laser focus right on that helicopter.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope, helicopter. That's what I want right there.
Yeah, the good thing about after that is once I do all of my flight time and everything, I can take up almost like a secondary MOS or AOC where I can redesignate. It's kind of a weird way to talk about it, but I could go into one of those letters, or like 70 Alpha, 70 Charlie. So
you could have your full-time job is the pilot, and then your part-time job is
right, kind of, because once we get
or better yet, your college. So it's like, well, my major is pilot,
and my minor,
kind
Kind of, yeah, because once we get to a certain point, like, we don't fly as much as, like, warrant officers fly forever, but we really don't.
Well, no, you have to move into leadership positions,
all of
and
that fun
and do all
stuff.
the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly right. But.
So, when you were joining, or when you decided to go into ROTC, were you looking at this as a full career, or like 20 plus years, or were you looking at, well, let me try this out and see what it's like, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's just several years. And
right. Yeah, so when I first, like I said, I didn't do JRTC or anything in high school. I don't even think we had it at our high school.
So it was brand new to you.
Yes, for the most part, yes. Yeah, my mom was kind of like, okay, try it out, go do it. And she was not, like, she didn't serve at all or anything like that. But one of her friends did for a very long time. So she was like, go try it, go do it. So I was like, okay, I guess so. Had no clue what I was doing. Like, first day I showed up and I was very, very confused and scared, let alone. But then, I got into it and met people and, like, had friends and stuff and got into the routine of going. And I don't quit a lot of things. So it was kind of like, well, I guess I'm doing it. And then I ended up just liking it, and it's fun.
Stick it out.
Yeah.
Stick it out. Sometimes something's not great at first, and then you get used to it. It's like, oh wow, this is a lot better.
Yeah, and I didn't know of how long I was gonna do it or whatnot, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of stick into it, and now am I gonna stay until I'm 50, 60?
You never know.
That's true. That's true. But
on the other hand, you can fly medevac for on the civilian side. So you do have careers that cross over to civilian jobs.
Right. So that's the good. And I like coming out of college and having a job compared to some people still looking for one. That is definitely a plus.
Yeah, and there's also. Even if you choose not to be active duty for 20 years, you can always go into the reserves or the Guard and still serve and still get your retirement. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your career, your whole future is wide open.
Yes, exactly.
So if you were to talk to some kids that are just graduated high school, or they just got into college, or they're in high school now, in the fall, what advice would you give them? Would you say, yeah, the military is the way to go? Definitely go Air Force, or military the way to go, or try it out. It's not that bad. Here's a bunch of different things. What advice would you give them?
I'd say if they're interested in it, try it out. It's not. I don't know if everyone thinks it's like super hard. Personally, it's not. It's not the hardest thing in the world, As long as you can wake up early and you can generally do what you're told, then you'll probably get by and it'll be fine. But if you're interested in it, definitely try it out. Especially if you're looking. A lot of people do it, for finding a way to pay for college, especially if they want to go into that higher level schooling. Like there's a scholarship program, or it's a program where you can go to med school for free, basically.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I was looking at when I wanted to go for 4 years and do everything, and then you come out and you still have to do all of your time in your service. But
now, going through ROTC, did you have to make a commitment, or did you have to join it? After being in ROTC for 4 years, did they offer any help with your college? And did you have to? Did they give you a requirement to serve afterward?
Yeah. So when I joined freshman year. With that, there was no requirement, no contract or anything like that. But when I went into my sophomore year of college, I did sign a contract for that I can get a 3-year scholarship. So I paid my freshman year, and then my sophomore, junior, and senior year were all paid for, all tuition and fees covered. I had outside scholarships from high school and whatnot. So that money just went straight back to me, which is nice.
Nice.
To pay for housing and all
Yes.
that. Because honestly, the ROTC scholarship is it's really good, and it really helps because when you could either do room and board or full tuition and fees, and when you're a biohealth science major and you're taking 21 credits a term, that can add up.
Yeah, from what I hear, lab fees are
Yes.
not cheap.
Yes, and then on top of that, you get textbook money and book money each term. So it's a good way to go for sure.
And apparently you're happy with the decision you made so far.
Yeah. So far, yes. So far, so good.
So after you said next year? When were you planning?
In January.
In January, you'll be going to flight school.
Yes.
And you already have the date and everything.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Just got my
so
orders. So yeah, January 8th is when I got to be there.
And where's flight school?
It's at Fort Novacell. It's formerly Fort Rucker in Alabama.
Alabama.
Yep. So not too far, not too different from what I hear.
No, the humidity and the heat
Yes.
and the bugs. Yeah, they're
All that.
pretty
all
much
that
all 3-4 states down
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Been to Alabama, haven't been to Enterprise, which is the city.
Oh, okay.
Think similar to Leesville.
Yeah, probably. I mean, for most military installations, you're going to be outside
Right.
the city limits. That way that you have more room. But there's other ones that are like right in town. Like
JBLM.
Vicenza in Italy is actually in Vicenza, which is the city. And then the base is Caserma Italy.
Oh, that's nice.
And you could walk downtown from the installation. So it's not too far. But then there's other installations like here, and Edwards Air Force Base is they had to move the front gate.
Oh.
They had to move the front gate to closer to the city just to make sure that it wasn't a remote.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one way to go about it.
It is. It's one way. So I would say I've heard a lot of good things about BJAC and the people that work over there. And, I've worked with BJAC a lot, and I know a lot of people over there. And we've had 2 people from our office move over to BJAC also. So I know 2 people that I used to work with.
Must be better than here, I guess. No?
Well, it's called grass is greener syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I had. But what would you say about all of your coworkers over there, and how do you like working over at BJAC?
Yeah, I mean, I came to Fort Johnson not knowing anyone, not knowing, I moved here by myself, not like with family or anything like that. And then going to BJAC, which I've never worked in a hospital setting. So they've been very welcoming, very helpful with, whatever, if I have questions about things. And then my staff and patient administration, like I said, me coming in with no knowledge on how to do anything, they've been very helpful and understanding when I go and I'm like, what is this again? Or this person's here for this. Do we do that? And they're able, to be like, yes, we do, or no, we don't, and direct them in the right spot. Especially the first week when, trying to find your way around a hospital. And BJAC isn't big, but trying to find your way around it when you first get there can be very confusing. And so they've definitely helped me with just finding my way, and yeah.
I've gotten lost in that building.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, where am I?
Right. Now I see people and they're looking around and I'm like, do you need help finding something? And I feel good.
Oh, look at you becoming the old lady and then having the whole
Exactly.
Just go ask Isella. She knows everything. But that is so great. And so, you know what? I just think I'll end with this one because it's the most important. So far, through your experiences and stuff, how are you leaning when it comes to making the Army a career?
Yeah.
Because I know it might change, and it probably will several times.
Right.
But right now, what are you looking at?
When people ask me now, I say, I'll probably do 20. And now am I 25? I don't know about that. I'm like a 20 in a day.
20 in a day.
Because it's fun. It's good. I just, I haven't even been in for a year, but it seems like it's been quite a while. I don't know.
Well, it's like family.
Yeah, exactly. But it's gone by very fast. And so I feel like, once you get to that 12, 13 year, a lot of people are like, well, do I want to do 7 more years? Do I want to, that's a long time, but it goes by so fast. And especially, 7 years, break that up into 2 different places for a lot of people. And so you're meeting new people, you're retraining in your job, and then getting comfortable there, and then you move again. So it's kind of really only 3 and 3,
Yeah. So, well, Lieutenant Wallace, it's been great having you on here, and I appreciate everything that all the great information, stories, and all that stuff. And I wish you the best, and good luck in your pilot career.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate everyone out there for watching, and please leave a comment, leave a like, thumbs up our show, subscribe, like, and we'll be listening at you later.
That was easy.